Let me pull up my presentation here first. Okay, can everybody see that? I can get a thumbs up if you can see that. Thank you, thank you. All right, so this is your virtual orientation. I am Dr. Francie Moyer. I am the site director at the CAP Early Learning Center. For those of you who have not had the pleasure of meeting me face-to-face, welcome. It's so nice. We've talked on the phone. And it's nice to be able to see your faces as well. And I know your children will be coming back to the center. This is going to be your orientation so that you have the information that you need to be able to feel comfortable coming back to center. It may not address all of your questions, and that's okay. We're going to have an opportunity for question and answer at the end where you'll either be able to type your questions into the chat box, or if you're off mute, you're more than welcome to ask. I will do my best to address them, and I have a team of awesome people here who have been working nonstop around the clock for the past 2.5 months to make this happen. If I don't have the answers, somebody does for sure. So we're going to start with the drop-off procedures. As you have probably heard on the news or from your friends who have children in childcare programs, many of the centers are following the most stringent, strict guidance for drop-off to be having a circle outside of their centers where you park your car and one of the teachers or a member of administration comes out with their mask and their lab coat on and checks temperatures from the car and then takes your child from the car. That is, in fact, the most strict guidance that the CDC has provided. We have erred on the side of child and parent comfort and security when it comes to drop-off, and we are allowing parents in a socially distanced, responsible manner to come through our playground entrance. So you will park your car, put on your mask, and bring your child to the center. You will be allowed in our hallways. You will not be allowed in our classrooms, but here's how the process is going to go, and there will be a video to show you as well. You will be able to park your car, and drop-off can start as early as 7:20 in the morning. The center technically opens at 7:30, but we wanted to allow enough time for screenings. Put on your mask. You'll bring your child up to the door where myself or another designated person will be checking your temperatures, doing a health screening form that I will go more into detail about. You will go through the playground entrance, if I didn't say that. Then you will go into the little lobby of the playground entrance, and you will sign your child in for the day. Then you will walk through that next doorway to your child's classroom, and you'll be able to drop your child off directly to their class. All the while, there will be hand sanitizing stations. We ask that you use great hand hygiene, keep your mask on at all times. Following these practices along with 6-foot social distancing is what is allowing us to let parents come into the center as opposed to picking your children up directly from the car and then us walking them in. So we do ask that everybody abide very strictly to that. I do have a video here of teachers with their masks on and with their masks off, just to give you a little brief introduction. I may have to stop sharing, I'm not sure. We'll see how this works. Do you see a screen changing? Has it moved to like the internet? Can anybody give me a thumbs up, thumbs down? Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing the PowerPoint for a second. I'll start sharing the other screen. And then if you can hear this video, if I could get a thumbs up. Again, this is new to me.
No, we cannot hear, but if you go to the share screen option.
Say that again.
Click share screen at the bottom, and then click Advanced Settings. It should be at your top of, so if you hit Share Screen and look at the top of that option, it says Advanced Settings. You can change the setting. You should be able to hear it then.
So in the, Amanda, in the advanced sharing options, it's not saying anything about volume.
So at the very top of that box, there are 3 little, I guess, I can't see the descriptions, but one of them will say advanced. It's in the middle. It's at the very top of the box, and then it comes up with like a little microphone.
Okay. All right, we will try this again.
Might be good. It looks like
It says Dr. Franny is sharing computer sound, so that's a good sign.
All
Yes.
right. So we'll try this again. Sorry, Jamie, your wonderful face will keep showing up.
I can't hear it.
Well, we'll just look at some with the mask on and off real quick. See? This is Miss Sarah. That's Miss Ann. That is Miss Jen. That is Miss Stacy. This is Miss Jolene. There's Miss Marluz. That's Miss Tiffany. There's Pilar. And there's Michelle. That's Miss Asia Lee. That's me. All right. So we'll go back to the PowerPoint here. Great. So make sure that if you have any questions about the procedures that your children will be seeing in the morning, that you ask them at the end of this session. So here's an example of the forms that you will see at the little lobby area when you first enter off of the playground. There's a little lobby area with information, and there's going to be a binder set up for your monthly individual sign in and sign out record. Each child will have one. So if you have more than one child, you will have more than one page to fill out at that time. That's the first form on the left. So you can see some of the information that's on there is the month and the year, and we'll be coming back. It's going to be July, so say July 2020 at the top, and then your child's name will be written there. You will go to either the infant and toddler binder or the preschool pre-K binder, depending on the age of your children, and you'll go to their classroom. For the pilot, we only have classrooms 2, 3, 4, and 6 open. So that is all you'll need to look for at this time. You'll flip to your classroom, you'll flip to your page, and then you will just sign off. So the date on the side has numbers 1 through 31, and that is just coordinating with the date of the month. So if it was July 1st, you would sign the time in on the date number 1. If it's July 2nd, it would be date number 2. So it's once we get to the weekend, let's use July 4th, for example, that's a holiday. It's not the 4th day that you sign in and out. that's a weekend, so we don't write anything on the number 4. 5 for July would be a Sunday, so we wouldn't write anything on a 5. When we start here on July 6th, we're going to simply start at the number 6. So it does coordinate with the calendar date. To make that a little bit easier, the weekends will already be pre-crossed off for you. In there, you can see that there's a time in, so you'll write the time that your child is dropped off, then you will sign the paper. There is a middle section in gray. If you have a midday pickup, say for a doctor's appointment or WIC appointment, and you need to remove the child from our care temporarily during the day, there is a smaller area for that, just a time out and time in. And then once you come in the afternoon, you will write the time that you are picking up your child and your signature again. On the other side, on the right-hand side, you can see is our health questionnaire. This is some of the questions that you'll be asked once I take your temperature. We're gonna have the date. Going to be asking you about any medications that your child may have taken. We're going to take your temperature and just record a yes or a no. A little bit more about that when we go over the health screening in detail. Any signs of cough, fatigue, shortness of breath, any exposures to anybody with COVID with a definition of that highlighted in yellow. And then we do ask that the parent sign this form as well. Just for making sure that you understand that this was done and completed, and this is also individual to each family and each child. And then pickup is just like drop off, only quicker. So we will have to do a temperature scan of all of the adults entering the building at pickup time, because if you as an adult have a fever, we cannot allow you to enter our facility. In that case, we will have a backup plan where somebody can go and get your child for you. But if you do have a temperature, unfortunately, you will not be allowed into our facility at that time. You will sign the child out, and as long as you are healthy, you will pick up your child from the class. So now we do have some more videos for pickup and drop off. I really hope that you're able to hear them.
Franny, if you need me to, I don't have sharing capabilities anymore, but if you make me the host again, I can pull the videos and see if I can share them if they don't work.
Okay, we'll give it a try.
To hear that part.
Yep, and there's only these 2 videos left, so we'll give it a try and we'll see what happens. So let's just get a thumbs up if it works or not. This one is really important, so we're going to go ahead and have Jamie help us with this. We'll do pickup and drop off, or drop off first and then pick up, Jamie, okay? Sorry for the bumps in the road. Thank you all for being so kind. Dr. Francine Moyer. I'm the new director here at the CAP Early Learning Center, and we're going to walk through a parent drop-off procedure when we return to care, as well as a parent pickup procedure so that you know what to do when you come back. I have with me today Jamie. You know Jamie, and her daughter Paisley is here, and they're going to be the parent for this scenario for drop-off. So Jamie is going to walk in through the playground gate. She's going to keep 6-foot distance between herself and the next parent. You must wear a mask when you're on our grounds, including the playground. If you do not have a mask will be available at the playground gate for you to put on. That way when you walk up, you are protecting yourself and you're protecting others from possible viral infections. So you can come up next. We're going to do a health screening to everybody who walks into our doors for drop-off. Good morning, Jamie.
Good morning, Dr. Franny.
Good morning, Paisley. How are you? I'm going to take your temperature, okay? Boop. Oh, great. I'm going to take Bonnie's temperature, too. Okay. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna record in this book here today's date. And Jamie, has Paisley taken any medication today?
She is not.
Okay, any ibuprofen or Tylenol?
Nope.
No temperature? Does Paisley have a cough today?
She doesn't.
Any fatigue or shortness of breath?
Nope.
Have you been in contact with anybody who has been suspected or confirmed of having COVID recently?
No.
Okay. So what Jamie's gonna do next with Paisley is she's gonna walk in here and I will screen the next parent as that's happening. So we're gonna come into, the thing that Jamie's gonna do is apply some hand sanitizer to her hands. Then she's gonna grab a clean pen and she'll turn to Paisley's page in our sign-in book. This procedure has moved from the classroom to this part of the lobby where you'll also find health postings and health notices and announcements for parents. Once Jamie's done signing Paisley in for the day, she'll put the pen in the dirty bucket and we'll disinfect those later. Now Jamie can drop Paisley off at her classroom and we're gonna go to room 1 for this example.
Go ahead.
All right, so now we are arrived at Paisley's classroom, which for this example is room 1. We are allowing parents into our building. You must wear a mask, you must sanitize your hands, and you may not go directly into the child's classroom. Any classroom announcements will be posted on the bulletin board outside of the door by the teachers. She's just gonna knock on the door to alert the teacher that the child's here. Good morning, Paisley and Jane. How are you doing?
Paisley's friend, so excited to start. Come on. Hi, Paisley, I love
So
you.
the teacher will take the child into the classroom. Mommy gets to say goodbye to her child for the day. And then the teacher will sign the child into the classroom. Your exit strategy from this point is not going to be out of the same door that you came into. We're going to come past the office here where Miss Tiffany is. Good morning, Miss Tiffany. Good morning. And if you have a payment to drop off, there will be a payment box posted here going forward. So what Jamie's going to do is she's going to exit out of our playground entrance. Bye. Have a good day. Have a great day. And that's how we'll manage the flow of traffic. Of course, anytime that you're in our building, we will have directional arrows posted on the floor. And please maintain 6 feet of distance and your mask covering your nose and your mouth at all times. And then there's a short video for pickup as well, which is basically the same thing, but a much quicker process for you.
Su sistema inmunológico.
Pickup procedure, which is almost exactly like the drop-off procedure, except in reverse. So we have our parents in line here that are picking up their kids 6 foot distance, and the only thing I'm going to do is check temperatures because some of our parents have a village helping out with their child, and it might not be the same person as the morning dropping off, picking up. And we want to make sure that anybody entering our building is fever-free. So come on up, Jamie. I'm just going to take your temperature.
Hello, how's your day?
Good. Oh, good. All right, you can come on in here and sign out Paisley. So again, just like drop off in the morning, Jamie's gonna get some hand sanitizer, a fresh pen,
and we've known this for quite some time that you can have people that test positive.
and she's gonna turn to the same page in the book that she used earlier for Paisley, except this time it'll be picking up.
What we tend to
And
see
just like the
surveillance
morning,
continues
into the dirty pen bucket,
surveillance
and to Paisley's classroom.
who show up in colors.
We're following the arrows that'll be placed on the floor for direction.
We often found people
Jamie
who were
knocks on the door and does not enter.
And then when we did
Yay!
that individual passed us, they tended to
Say bye,
the
Miss
second
Rose.
Bye.
those individuals
You want
tended
to walk?
have more mild infection.
Okay, we're gonna
Some
walk
of
out this
them
other
may be
door. All right, so Jamie's gonna follow the arrows that will be on the floor, and she's gonna exit again out to the playground.
They were.
Have a great afternoon.
Bye.
Bye.
What we know is that all people are susceptible to this virus, and people can get infected. And we know.
All right. And then I'll just need those host capabilities back then, Jamie. And the remainder of the presentation is from the slideshow. I just want to say thank you again for everybody being so patient with technology. It has been very interesting getting all of our materials together and ensuring that that you all have the information that you need to feel comfortable coming back to care. Okay, so the health check we did talk a little bit about, and I showed you an example. The health check is only going to be completed in the morning and throughout the day if necessary. So it's going to be all adults and children coming into the center, but we're only recording the information for your child because they're the ones who are here with us for the longer majority of the day, where we would consider any exposure incidents happening due to the duration of time. Fevers over 100 degrees, adult or child will not be permitted into the building. I know that probably some of the information you hear on the news is 100.4, but as a child care provider, we do have to follow the policies that the state puts in place, and the state has put in place that number of 100 even. And then throughout the day and at the health check, if there are 3 symptoms that are indicative of COVID at the time or throughout the day, then we will have to exclude. And that's part of our health and illness policy that we will actually ask you to sign off on your first day on July 6th. So there will be a form that explains that a little bit more in depth. Then that's just a brief series of questions, and you'll sign off that none of those things have happened and that you understand, and then we're happy to let you drop your child off and return to work. I know that this is new territory for all of us, so using cooperation and participation will make this process go much, much, much faster, and we can get you back to work as quickly as possible. For illness prevention, we showed you the video of the teachers wearing masks, but in addition to that, any children showing signs of illness will be excluded temporarily. Now we know that there are going to be things that children get fever for, and it is not COVID related. This is child care. There's still going to be hand, foot, and mouth. There's going to be strep throat, sinus infections, your usual colds and flu symptoms. Children do have asthma, which can lead to dry cough and things like that. So there are differences between children actually being ill and children having regular signs and symptoms of something else underlying. Us, meaning myself and the teachers, knowing you and knowing your children, will work and do our best to know the difference so that we are not unnecessarily excluding children and causing more strain on your work and having to, pick a child up more often than not. But there will be some very specific indicators that we're going to look for, and there will not be an opportunity to avoid that 100-degree fever in any case. So it could be 100-degree fever for, COVID. It could be 100-degree fever for sinus infection and your child is on medication, or teething, or vaccinations. Unfortunately, regardless of the situation, 100 degrees or above will always be excluded from there. But then we will look at other signs and symptoms that may have something else to do with an underlying condition, such as if a child is teething and maybe they're just uncomfortable, but they don't have a fever, we're not going to exclude them for those reasons. So a lot of the illness procedure is going to be the same. It's just a little bit more stringent. If your child is ill with something that would exclude them, let's again go back to the example of a fever of 100 or higher. What we're going to be doing going forward is taking the child that is ill, and the teacher that has already been with them and potentially exposed will escort them to an isolation room that we have set up. It is next to the main office where I will be in the main office, and Miss Tiffany will be in the main office as well. There's a smaller office next to us that is completely enclosed with a door that shuts. We have some rest equipment in there, as well as some comfort items to keep your child comfortable. And we're gonna ask that once a child is taken to that isolation room, that they are picked up in a very quick fashion. Another measure of illness prevention is being proactive. So proper hand hygiene, hand sanitizing as you're here, hand sanitizing before you touch pens or books. We will be disinfecting high touch point areas throughout the process. So doorknobs, door handles, they will be disinfected as well. But obviously take care of yourself and your hands by ensuring that they are properly sanitized. And of course, nothing replaces good old-fashioned soap and warm water. So always follow our state guidance to, after you've left the center and you get to your next destination, don't touch your face, don't put your fingers in your mouth or near your eyes, and then always to divert to washing your hands with warm soapy water for 20 seconds. That's the time it takes to sing happy birthday twice. During this time, I understand that we are in the green phase, but COVID is still here. So right now we are still under a visiting restriction. So we will not be inviting parents and family members and guest speakers and puppet shows and things into the center at this time to do family events with the children. We also ask that nothing is going to be coming from home. We are going to be providing blankets that can stay at the center and be washed at the center. The only thing that we would ask you to provide is still going to be the 2 changes of clothing and some of the regular items that you would use for the younger children, but they shouldn't need anything more than 2 changes of clothing on site. And we also have backup clothing here. We always do, in case there is none for the child. In the event that they get messy outside, or maybe we have a messy lunch, the kitchen staff does make really great meals, and sometimes it shows. And then we will communicate as well. So this is a little bit more reactive when we have to communicate, but we'll communicate illness exposure, and this is beyond COVID. So if a child is diagnosed with strep throat, we're going to let you know of that so you can monitor your child for signs and symptoms. Or if there's a cold and flu going around, we want to make sure that all parents are aware of what is going around our center. And then another proactive strategy is that teachers were trained on CDC guidelines, hand washing, PPE, and illness. So our teachers have had a full day of training and questions and monitoring, and they've had a lot of time to prepare as well throughout these past few months. So they are knowledgeable, but this is new for all of us, and they will now go from the phase of learning about preventive strategies to applying them. So how did we get our environment ready here at CAPS Early Learning Center? We have increased our sanitizing and disinfection program. There are checklists that the teachers are going to be using for what is to be cleaned and washed, and they will be checking that off throughout the day. That's great for the beginning of the day. It's even better for the end of the day, but it's the in-between that matters, because as we know, children are curious, and one of the ways that they explore their environment is with their hands, and especially the younger ones, with their mouth. So one of the strategies that we'll be using in our classrooms is to remove items that have been mouthed or played with and putting them in an area for cleaning and disinfection later. And what our teachers are doing is having backup toys available to replace so that children always have plenty of options to play from. We've also updated over 30 policies and procedures. So just like the teachers were trained on, the CDC guidelines, PPE, which is the masks, if they want face shields, wearing robes to cover their clothes, disinfection and cleaning, temperature taking, exclusion policy, how to set up their classrooms, how to set up the environment. You're probably thinking one of the things is, were they trained on social distancing? And yes and no. I'll show you an example of the classrooms. But what we've done is we've spaced out our classrooms to make larger play areas. Children are social, humans are social in general, and especially the youngest ones, their day is going to look very similar. But what we're trying to do is station them so that we don't have 7, 8, 9, 10 children in one spot, but there can be more options for 2, 3 at the most children to be able to play in an area. So social distancing with children isn't going to be 6 feet apart. Classrooms have been deep cleaned, brand new paint around the whole center, and we've even installed new backsplashes behind all the sinks that are bleach and cleaner friendly to allow us to disinfect those high touch areas that children are going to be using and teachers are going to be using frequently to wash their hands. And I'll show you some examples of that as well. The playground has been scrubbed and power washed, which is exciting. We want the kids to get outside and play because many of the local playgrounds have been closed for the past 3 months. And this may be the first time many of your children are getting the opportunity to go to a playground and, slide down a slide and climb up the steps. Playgrounds will be cleaned and disinfected in between groups as well. And then we've updated our center emergency plan to reflect our new policies and procedures as well. So here's our new paint. You can kind of see that on the walls behind the white backsplash, and those are our new backsplashes, easy to clean, and you can see hands-free paper towel dispensers. So to get the classrooms ready for the children, we have focused really on safe and clean. What's safest for the children? How can we station it to minimize large groups of children playing together at one time? We realize that this is still probably going to happen because the children are going to be so excited to see their friends again and their teachers again. But the most that we can do proactively, the better. There are larger play spaces, which you'll see in the next examples as well when we get to the classroom pictures. The classrooms are going to be cleaned throughout the day. Increased outdoor play time. So each classroom is going to get time outside to play, and we're going to encourage them on nicer days where the temperature is less than 90 degrees, including the heat index, to be able to take storybooks outside, lesson plans outside, maybe some additional toys outside, of course, water to drink because we want to make sure everybody stays hydrated. But we want to have the kids in the open air environment when we can, when possible, but we also still want to maintain a typical schedule. So we don't want them outside all day. We still want them to have a typical schedule. Routines and structure is really critical coming back because they've been their parents and their guardians, companions for 3 months, and we want them to have some semblance of what normal is going to be. There's going to be smaller group sizes, at least for the July pilot. We will be scaling up operations in the month of August, but for the July pilot, where we're all still coming back and getting used to being back in care, we are going to have smaller group sizes in each of the classrooms and extra staff and extra teachers to be able to break the kids up into those smaller group sizes. And we're calling those classrooms or those groups the class bubble or the cohort. So essentially what that means is same children, same teachers every day. And that allows the environment and the viral load to stay exclusive to that group. So the teachers that you see in the classroom are the teachers that will be there every day. They are allowed to take vacation, and when that happens, we have a specific backup teacher, an on-site sub, ready to step in for them. Healthy meals will be prepared on site as usual. We've made a few adjustments to meal service. One of them being our family style dining. So instead of family style dining where we're encouraging children to serve themselves the options, we will ask and have trained our teachers on them being the hands-on person who portions out the items onto the plates and then puts the plate in front of the child. So that way we're minimizing how many hands are touching the measuring spoons or the bowls. We also don't want children, we know children are naturally, they cough, you know, they get runny noses and adults do too, but we know with kids, they need more reminders to wash their hands or, you know, they might wipe their nose. So we don't want them to cough on the food or, you know, have wiped their nose in that manner and then touch a spoon and then somebody else does. So right now, just the teachers will be doing that. And then we also have new rest equipment that is easier to disinfect and clean. Of course, rest equipment is individual child use only, but we will still be cleaning it and disinfecting it. So here's some examples of the class. This is actually room 2. And for those parents who are of room 2, I know we have at least one that I saw on the call. This was divided into 2 sections, and it will be again in the future, but for right now, we have opened this entire space up to the back wall by the windows, added additional tables, added additional chairs, spaced the activities out to allow fewer children, but more activities. So we can actually keep the kids busier, and it looks like there's much more going on, but there's so much more space for the children to be able to distance themselves. And because there will be more teachers, the 3 teachers in there can also work on distancing them as well. This larger space also allows us to be able to nap with an appropriate distance between children as well. So that is the end of the presentation. I'll open it up to any questions. I'm sure that there are quite a few. If you'd like to use the chat box, you're welcome to. If you'd like to talk, that's fine.
I do have a couple of questions. I was kind of taking notes as you were speaking.
Great.
If you can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I wanted to ask, to go back to when you mentioned children being sent home for fevers, and of course it could be for various reasons. The old policy, from what I remember, was they could return after being 24 hours free of the fever. Is that different? Is that going to change? Do they need to be tested for COVID before they return if they have a fever? What changed around that?
Sure. So that is a great question, and it definitely does depend greatly on the symptoms of what is actually going on, because we may send you home with a fever, and at that point you're probably going to call your physician, and your physician will guide you. And they may say, it doesn't sound like you have COVID, let's do 24 hours. They may guide you in another direction as well. Stacy, I see you agreeing. Is there anything new to this to add that we have not covered?
Dr. Franny has covered it well. We're not going to assume that we're equipped to identify what's going on, particularly because fever is, you're right, so commonplace with so many childhood illnesses. We would ask that families follow up with their physician and then follow their guidance. So if it's a fever that's associated with something like Coxsackie virus, like hand, foot, and mouth, you would follow the normal return to care criteria. And so in that case, 24 hours may be sufficient. But again, if it's, if your doctor, takes you through a series of questions and there's a high possibility that this, might be associated to a potential exposure, then families may have to, do isolation for a longer period of time. I know that's about clear as mud, but I think that that's the space we're going to have to be in right now, because again, our goal is to keep illness out so that we can stay open as long as possible for families.
Okay, I just have a couple more questions if that's okay.
Oh, it's totally okay.
Yesterday, I received a message on Class Dojo to pick up my daughter's additional clothing and blankets. I just wanted clarification. Are they allowed one change of clothing or 2 changes of clothing? Because I was told one, but you said 2.
Sure. I err on the side personally of 2. I could see why the teachers may have said 1. You will be allowed to pick the blanket up though, because we'll be providing them. I like to err on the side of 2 changes of clothing, just in the event that, children do spill things, and I know your older son, he is going to be in room 4, and he's probably able to keep himself a little cleaner during the day. But your little one, she might go outside and get muddy. And I don't want to, as a director, I don't want to send your child home muddy. If there's clothing to change into, I want to get her changed and then have your clothes to go back home in. But let's just say she gets muddy and then lunch is also messy. It's nice to have a backup to the backup. So I, in no way, shape, or form mean to have any miscommunication surrounding that, but 2 changes of clothing is fine if you're comfortable having that here. I don't want that policy to be so strict.
I'm fine with that. I just, because I got that notification, I just wanted to make sure. And I think it was also in that that letter that was in this Zoom.
In the return to care letter. As long as we're good on the team, I don't want that change of clothing one to be so strict, just because children will have potty accidents from time to time too. Okay. Great question.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, just 2 more. I just want to make sure I'm hitting everything here.
Oh, please.
And I know that I've probably asked this question a lot between you and Jamie through email, but I just wanted to ask again, just in case anything changed, since it wasn't mentioned, or they weren't included as visitors, but TSSs and BSCs, they're allowed.
Yep, they are allowed. They are not included as visitors. We do count them just the same as one of our staff. That's a necessary educational and behavioral support to allow your child to be successful in group care. So we absolutely support that.
Okay, and how would they know what they have to do before coming in to CAP, or is it just how you want the parents or the teachers wearing masks, and do they have to follow any extra guidelines, or will you guys communicate that to them, or is that my job to do that?
That's a great question. I will let you know that the person on your team, as well as people on several other teams, have reached out to me directly. I apologize if I have not communicated back yet. That is pending on my to-do list. Okay. But as long as they can get a hold of either myself, or pending I'm not available, they can get a hold of Jamie as well. We will communicate what they need to be aware of, but we will ask that staff and adults self-monitor as staff their temperature in the morning. We want to make sure we're focused on the parents and the children to do the health screening. And then we do ask that they do wear masks. We do ask that they do sanitize and have proper hand hygiene. We do ask that they wash their hands often. So a lot of those things that will be communicated to the members of those teams, whether it's TSS or speech or some other type of therapy, they will be following the same rules as our teachers.
Okay, and I just had one more question just for clarification. You mentioned that the teacher, they'll have the same teacher, but I just want to make sure that's entirely throughout the day. I know that the hours change a little bit, so that may allow the teachers to be there fully, but I know I would be dropping them off to one teacher, and then in the afternoon it would vary whoever was there. Yep. So
Yep, so with the pilot program, it will be the same teachers. Things may look a little different in August, but for the month of July, that's what you can expect for teacher presence. And then Stacy, I think you wanted to piggyback on something there.
I did. I wanted to share that we've gotten verification that while CAP is not currently going to do the temporal screen on our staff, that we may and are going to implement the temperature screen on all of our staff in 5 to 5. So while maybe staff members that work like in the DVS or WIC are not currently being required to have their temperatures taken, I just wanted to let the parents know on the call today that we are going to amend our procedure that our staff too are going to have their temperatures done right from day one.
Great information. So we'll also be doing that for your support team then as well.
Yep.
Thank you.
Great, that's all my questions.
Oh, no, those were great questions. And I'm so glad that you were comfortable to be on the call and, you know, look at us face to face virtually as it is and ask those questions, because it is so important for you bringing 2 children back to the center to really understand, you know, what we've been working on for the past several months and how we've been prepared to welcome children back to care. And a question that you have, somebody else might have had as well.
Yeah.
And as parents, what we'd like to extend to you is the opportunity to keep the dialogue going. We know as a pilot that we may have not gotten it 100% right the first time. This is all new territory for all of us. And I'm going to invite Dr. Franny to offer kind of a virtual, you know, lunch chat once a week, where she will, you know, make herself available to have a follow-up, you know, virtual conversation with families just to tell us, how are things going? You know, what are you particularly pleased with? Are there things that aren't rolling out the way that we had hoped for them? Because we really do want to take advantage of this 4-week period to make any, you know, minor adjustments, hopefully only minor adjustments, before we scale up and open up our other locations and, you know, go county-wide with our Head Start classrooms in the fall. So we do invite you to be a part of those. And I know that Dr. Franny will be sending out more information and how you could join those conversations in the future.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do we have any other questions? If you do, you are on mute. I welcome you to unmute yourself, or you're welcome to use the chat box.
Dr. Franny, there's a question about diapers, but it's not quite clear to me what the question is seeking to get clarified. I don't know if people need to, if they're wondering if they need to bring diapers in.
So Sarah, nope, Sarah is from the, she's coming over from the Grace site.
So I can speak to this because I know that Sarah reached out yesterday. Something that we are doing for families for the month of July. Yes, and that's right, Sarah, you're right. For the month of July, because we are not charging tuition or anything like that, we are not charging for the diapers and wipes program. That will be something that'll be amended in the contract changes for August. We are looking to try to provide those items for you if you, depending what funding stream you are, for a small cost. I know myself, I am a parent, not directly here at this facility, but another childcare facility in the area. And I pay a few extra dollars a week to have that service provided for me because we already do bulk ordering for that. So to answer your question here today, though, we will not be charging for diapers and wipes no matter what funding stream you are coming in. It does not matter if you're private pay, if you have pre-K counts funding, whatever that looks like for you as a family, we are providing for the month of July.
Sarah. Thanks for your question. Do we have any other questions at this time?
Is that just for the other location, that information, or is that in general?
Nope, that's here at the Early Learning Center.
Oh, so for my 2-year-old, I won't have to provide any of that. Oh, that's great. I didn't.
Yeah.
I missed that. That's great.
That's wonderful news.
That is.
To say I'm a parent, like I said, Elle, and I was like, if I didn't have to worry about bringing that stuff in, I was like, sign me up, right?
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, thank you for that.
If there's no other questions at this time, we are almost at an hour. I do thank each and every one of you for your time today and for being part of this conversation. We are so excited to have the kids come back and just see our classrooms alive and full of laughter and excitement and artwork, especially. I can't wait to see all of their creations that they make when they come back. A lot of, like I said, a lot of work went into this, a lot of teamwork. The entire Thrive to 5 team here has been tirelessly working to ensure safety of staff, students, and parents as well on our site. So again, I thank you all for your time. I'm going to end this conversation if there's no last minute questions. All right, then everybody have a great day, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.